The topic for today is when adults avoid conflict, children carry them. I would like to give you an image of a family because it is not the immediate actions, reactions we have to look at. We have to look at the entire lifespan. The biography is what it's called in Steiner philosophy. My background since my birth, also pre-birth, and where am I going, my destiny. So this is biography. When we consider the biography, we see the implications of what conflicts we have carried. It becomes a little bit more clear. There was this research done of people who were happy versus not so happy for hundreds of years, like generations together. I don't know the exact details, I forget them, but that helped because economic background, cultural background, demographical backgrounds, all that kind of added on to how I performed as a human being. So similarly, we will look at something related to only conflict. I was watching a reel yesterday, it started from 1990. 1990, women did not even ask anything. They got slapped really bad, and she just sat down and cried and continued to do the housework. It's a very typical, but I'm just giving as an example. The same thing in 2000, she asked for something. She was slapped and she just stopped doing, maybe going home to visiting her mother's house or something, because she's seen packing her bag. Okay, she'll throw out that and she'll cry for some time, but carry on with something else. 2015, um, same thing, she begins to pack, husband slaps her, she'll slap him back. She'll continue to pack her bag and go anyway. In 2025, same thing again. She slaps him back. Not only that, packs his bag and throws him out of the house. It's an extreme case. It's happening as well. Things are changing. But that conflicts that led the first lady in 1990 to just take it up, and not all of them were like that. We are talking about archetype, which is majority of us. It's like saying dogs bark all the time. Well, dogs bark, not all the time. So barking dog is an archetype. There may be some dogs that are quite silent or don't bark all the time, and some overdo it. So we don't go to the extremes. This is a typical scenario where somebody just listened in 1990 and that was her parenting style, or that is how she absorbed certain things from her family. And 2025, it's different. I mean, if she is, let's say, 25 years old, she was born in 2000. So if parents, she went through the technological revolution and opening up and things like that. So obviously, the influence that she carries from her parents and surroundings are different. And many media, the movie, also kind of give us those suggestions of how we should be. So going back, let's take this very typical family where husband is dominant. Let's say, I mean, this is the family I know from. The father was born sometime in 1920s. So let's say the last 60 years. And the oldest son is around 65 now. So let's 60, 65, 70 years. So father is very, very dominant, very short-tempered. He has his way of doing things. Nothing can change it. And everyone in his family, his parents, his siblings, were like, leave him alone. He's going to throw a fit. And that is also a kind of air that he carried around himself. Even if he was not easily angered, to get his way, he became loud. And that became his weapon to, or a shield to protect himself and a weapon to use as well. So he gets married to somebody normal. I mean, maybe will get angry whenever and not extreme, most of the cases. And she probably, the mother in this family, she probably tried to ask something sometime. She probably said that this wasn't right or adjust to something, and he blew up. He shouted, he screamed, whatever. And then she withdrew, avoiding conflict, because conflict means extreme rage, extreme get out of my house kind of a situation. And that was very, very common then. And women were not so empowered. Again, our type, majority of the women. So they kind of believed that husband is the savior. They have to live. And then this mother of the house happened to be the firstborn. She has siblings, younger siblings. Now just imagine if the mother just walks out and goes back to her parents' house, parents are not going to welcome her because the younger siblings have to get married and settle down as well. So she kind of knew that she had to stay back at least for the sake of her parents and for her siblings, tolerate this. So avoid conflicts, avoid asserting, avoid suggesting, fearing conflict, right? So this became a pattern. Now children come into the picture. In the earlier discussions we saw, there is a different impact on the 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 child, whether you're a firstborn, the second, third, or fourthborn. So we know that children imitate, children watch and learn predominantly from parents, next from teachers, definitely from the environment. So the firstborn is the firstborn in the family. So parents are new to this whole thing. So they're trying to adjust. Firstborn are imitating the order in the family, discipline in the family. Right? So typically you will see the firstborns are adjusting, coping with whatever it is. You would not see them asserting as much. So in this particular family, the firstborn is also trying to comply with the father, becoming like mother, do not avoid, avoid conflicts, do not talk so much, manage. And this child continued to just manage and not voice. He is 65 plus now, and his wife complains that he'll never say anything, good, bad, or otherwise. In some ways, it is good for her. She could do whatever she wanted. But then he never had his personality or the true personality come out. And somewhere deep down, he probably was waiting for his father to pass away, mother to pass away, wife to pass away, somebody somewhere that he could live on his own the way he wanted to be. And that's such a sad thing to keep waiting for somebody to pass on because I have not developed that courage. I have carried on that conflict, that withdrawal, that n- conflict from the father's side, withdrawal from the conflict from the mother's side. He never got the father's side. because it was too dangerous. As a small child, when somebody becomes so loud, and mother is surviving, maintain the order, that became the first child's carrying of withdrawal of the conflict. That doesn't change anything. That gives father a lot more power. Now I have my wife under control, my son or daughter under control. This is when we do not pay much attention to how my participation in the conflict and withdrawal from the conflict are affecting my family. And this conflict is not just with another human being, it could be within myself. Now, should I do, shouldn't I do? That is what the child gets, conflict within self. When he feels dominated by others, when he goes out in his own life, he's like, I should be like my father, shout back to get your way. But then there is conditioning that says, you don't want to get into conflict. You saw how it was. So withdraw and be quiet. So there's constant conflict going on in the child's mind. And that stays for the rest of our lives unless we consciously begin healing it. And many of us don't even get that time because when growing up, we have school and then college, then work, then provide for my own family, then build my career up and whatnot, whatnot. And finally, after retirement, it's become my comfort zone. It's become my habit. So I would rather just live in another 10, 20 years. Let me just go on. Now, coming back to this original family, the first child took after the mother, withdrawn from the conflict. So mother got a little support. The mother son could talk a little bit now about father's arrogant behavior. Everybody talked about it, but she could just, she could not, she again, she cannot bitch about her husband in public. She has to still support him, comply with him, align with him, because there was that constant threat that I'll throw you out of my house. And the second child comes along. First child is going to imitate the order around the family. Second child is going to imitate the attitude and the gestures, the subtle qualities in the family. So he came along to absorb mother's withdrawal, like withdraw, don't fight, and father's anger. Though he did not shout out because it was leading to some disturbance, the child could not say what, but the anger took place in his heart. There was a lot of anger brewing, not expressed, because expression was of that anger was danger, as his experience said. So he became the boiling pot, but not speaking. Now imagine the impact of such intense activity happening within on my body, on my mind when I grow up, right? So he did not do very well in the school. He asserted in the wrong places at the wrong time. He had no control. So he would like blurt out in some ways, and then he would go make up, try to overdo because he kind of knew that he had done something wrong. So he became unpredictable as an adult. You know, overdo on anger one time, overdo on compensation, withdrawing from the conflict, or accepting whatever anybody did. in another situation, like double personality, unable to kind of comprehend himself, right? And imagine what happens to his wife. I mean, she'll take the liberty to say, "Oh, you're this and this and this," when he's docile, and then she'll withdraw when he becomes the extrovert anger. So he carried that withdrawal of conflict. He himself did not get into conflict with the father, and he saw mother withdrawing. So overall, this was a mixed personality. And go back and look at different families that you encounter. We don't need to label them, we don't need to judge them, we don't need to ignore them. And I'm also one of those examples in any of these extremes, right? So the second one absorbed the inner attitudes and gestures of the parents. The third one comes along. And the third one has many personalities to imitate. There's a mother who's avoiding the conflict. There's father who's like dominant. There is an older brother who is maintaining the calm without getting as much affected as the mother, but like mother, but somewhere who thinks a little wider. Because remember, as the first child or as a child, I know I don't have to stay with these parents forever. Compared to a wife or a husband, we are stuck with this person, or that is the requirement, that is the conditioning. Not anymore, but I'm talking in those days. So the wife in the family was stuck with the husband, but the son, the first one, needn't be. So he had some leverage, but somewhere he may not have understood that he has absorbed this and his behavior was also affected by it. So the third child has four people to imitate. Mother who's avoiding the conflict, father who's thrusting himself upon the whole family, the oldest one who is showing that freedom. Yeah, 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 put up with it and we'll just graduate and get out of the house and we don't have to worry. The second one is, yes, I can express my anger. I'm not happy with the way father does. I'm neither happy with the way my mother is doing, but I don't know what to do. So the third child has these different examples before her. So she exercises something like father sometimes, something like mother sometimes, brother and a brother. And somewhere she becomes the voice of the family. She's the only one talking up. She's the only one who can talk with the father and bring him to senses. She's the only one who can talk to the mother and say, "Don't cry over this, get out of it." Of course, she could not. I mean, the mother by now has experienced a lot of trauma, and she's the one who's also motivating the brother. Yeah, get out, go, get out of the house, go work elsewhere. And that's what she did. I mean, after he graduated, he got his first job in a nearby um, village, and father didn't want the son to go, but the younger sister supported the older brother to go. And that is how you see patterns passing. It becomes intergenerational conflict. And you can go on to see how this first child has lived, second child has lived, and the third child has lived, and what elements of these conflicts we have carried, and what elements have we healed and overcome. We looked at the previous discussion again. We are definitely fragmented. My ability to think, my ability to do things, my ability to connect with people and feel is distorted. They're out of sync. They don't talk to each other. My head says one thing, but my hands do something else. Those are all the results of the unsaid conflicts carrying forward. When the I mean the in the families where both are arguing and fighting, and maybe they won't settle it immediately, but they come back and settle it, it is still better than withdrawing and staying mum. And definitely the best is when I discuss things. Yes, we don't like the way we both do things. But for this, you have the liberty, you do it. For this, I will take the liberty and I do it. And we still do it respectfully. We give each other that space. And the fourth ideal is where both of us talk, both of us agree, both of us do together. That's a fantastic situation. But we are in any of these extremes of being this most ideal family where conflicts are talked about and resolved, and the other extreme where there is no scope of even saying that I don't align with you. And children absorb all of this. And we are here discussing or trying to understand raising humans together, being for children, watching them as to whatever they could be, they may be absorbing, and trying to talk through it to heal them. And I can heal only when I have that inner authority in place. Inner authority, we talked about that as well. So, one of the best exercises to develop the inner authority is come to one place every day, you know, like out in the nature. You can stand by the window and look out, same place every day for hope, preferably the same time as well, and look at the sky or a plant and just observe. Just observe. We don't need to say it's beautiful or sunrise, nothing. Just observe. And with consistent practice, what we will see is changes are happening. I mean, today is never like yesterday. That's why we enjoy sunrises. We will never have enough. You could go every day and sun will definitely rise. But then the background situation is different, is changing. So that stability that sun will rise is the one that's giving me confidence. But things may be different. It's like weather of the day. Things may change. Different people may come, go. I may have breakfast or no, not, whatever. But there is something constant, something predictable, something very stable, even though there is chaos around. That gives me confidence. See, the inner authority doesn't come from rock solid, predictable situation. Life is never like that. So if I can develop that inner authority, child will see you as somebody they can come to, right? In this particular family situation, I'm not trying to change the father. Let's say I'm the mother. I'm not trying to change the father. I'm not going to script and cry about him to somebody else. But I will not lose my identity. Yeah, he is the way he is. He's going to shout. He's going to throw tantrum. So is it about me? If it is about me, let me see what I can change. If it isn't about me, I think he's a barking dog. He's a drunkard. We don't expect anything from someone who's drunk and who have lost their consciousness and who are just blabbering things out, right? I'll be able to do that, not get affected. It is not easy. It's not easy, but something that I need to do for the sake of my children so that intergenerational trauma doesn't continue. Yeah. So begin with some small practices that will help us become grounded. Thank you.